There were 11 and 13, I believe, who created a body butter and a scrub, and they made it out of brown sugar, and they created their own formula, and they were bottling it themselves and making it out of stuff in their kitchen. They had some good branding and a great table, and they were impressive. They had the testing and everything to try out all their products right there at their table. And then we had lots of other entrepreneurs as well. We had a lemonade stand, some of your more traditional businesses like that, and cookies, all the way up to, really scientific stuff where folks were creating their own sunscreen. So, and honestly, I have to give this one a shout out. I think it was called NB Teen. It's a teen podcast. Y'all would dig this. A teen podcast where they talk about your day-to-day culture stuff, but from the teenage perspective, and they interview teenagers, and they were selling advertising packages at this booth. I mean, I was so impressed with their knowledge of the media space, their knowledge of advertising. Podcasts are obviously kind of permeating our culture, and it was so cool how these young teens were kind of picking up on what was important or what was interesting, even to businesses that might be interested in sponsoring. So, programs like that where you can just expose students of all ages to different things. And I was there as a guest judge, and some of the students asked me about my business and how I got started. And I think when you have that kind of shared experience, there's a lot of growth and a lot of learning there. I've also been a part of the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. They ran a program here with the Black Wall Street team, I guess 2 years ago maybe, and we had an intern for about a week that was helping us pitch our company and get some financials in order before we met with investors. And that was a great experience. It was a young guy that was excited to get into business but hadn't had startup experience before. And so he was able to see kind of firsthand, day-to-day, what it's really like and how hands-on it is, how you have to wear so many different hats at any different point. And he walked away really energized and excited to be an entrepreneur in the future when he graduated. So, like I said, I've only seen a couple, but I think there's some good examples out there.
Well, that's good to know that there's those kind of examples. And like I said, I have seen some. I would like to see some more. So I agree with you on that. And my apologies for trying to rush childhood onto you in terms of having children and things of that nature. So much of Christ Central does, including the lead pastors, that I probably just make automatic assumptions sometimes. And we all know that you should never do that.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
So that whole parenthood thing will come later. Dean can tell you all about it. He's actually a grandparent now.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
Because how old is your grandkid, Dean?
My granddaughter is 2.5.
All right, granddaughter is 2.5. And he's actually had some business entrepreneurship stuff as well. His wife just recently launched a business. What's the name of that business? The Three Harlem Sisters?
Harlem Sisters. She has Dr. Diamond events and exclusive gems for you.
That's what's up.
And you've done some events in New York City. They actually just launched in New York City because I was looking at some of your bio. It saw that back in 2009 you were part of an event that was organizing some sort of career event for looks like 160 college students in New York City. So I didn't even know that about you, Benard. But it seems like you were doing that back then. And Dean's it was actually 3 girlfriends, from what I understand, that grew up together, and they have now created this business, the Three Harlem Sisters, that involves both pastries as well as regular chefs, as well as his wife, who is more of the event planner. Is that a fair assessment, Dean?
Correct. That's correct.
So I'm curious. We help with LoanWell. We help a lot of small businesses. That's our big that's our main sector. We are helping these small businesses get startup funds, get growth funds, get working capital funds, and often these small businesses don't have access to the affordable capital that they need to get off the ground and keep going. And the banks are either denying them outright or giving them extremely high interest rates, or they're turning to some of these online lenders that can underwrite them really quickly, but at incredible interest rates, 30% or so, I think is kind of the average at Cabbage, which is a big small business lender. So we feel like we're fitting this need of access and affordability for small businesses who need maybe 10 to 20K. But what's been maybe your wife's experience with funding? Has she needed funding? Has she gotten it from a lot of different sources? Has she done the traditional banking route or more of a non-traditional banking route?
That question I cannot answer because I am not the thing with, they just tell me when the events are going to happen and I promote them out. So the inner workings of it I'm not privy to.
I hear you.
But you actually do bring up a good point, Benard, which is that a lot of times, so many of our people are going through the traditional banks, or even if they're going through the self-help and the credit unions. And I think that you're right. A lot of times those interest rates are what stop people from getting into business. I know a lot of people that would love to be entrepreneurs, and that's if there is something that is stopping them, that is usually what is stopping them. There's a couple of things that might be it, but one of it is the financial end of it. The other thing is that I don't know that every entrepreneur has the greatest business plan in the world, because I know a lot of people that have great ideas, but then when you ask them for a business plan, they give you like a little scratched out sheet of paper that basically like, their dream list, but it's not really a true business plan fleshed out the way that it should be.
Right. Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I think you gotta have a good team, you gotta have a good market, you gotta have a good idea, you gotta have time and resources for sure, and the finance piece is a big part of that. For us, it's our mission because we feel like there's so many small businesses that either die or they're just resource strained for too long to really ever, be prosperous and to thrive. And so our big thing is, can we create wealth generation opportunities in communities that have been divested from? Can we get the food truck in Walltown or the food truck in Hayti the money that they need if they have the sales, if they've kind of proven it out, but maybe they don't have 12 months of revenue for the bank to be able to underwrite them, more like 24 months of revenue for a bank. Can we get them to a place where their community, their patrons, their friends, their family, can support them in chunks as small as $100, as large as they need to be, but kind of this collective approach to financing that can help these small businesses really grow in a way that wealth generation is spun off into that community. Because the big thing is, with a bank, you're often getting sources of capital from really God knows where. It could be a lot of different places. And when they do these really high interest loans, they're extracting that interest out of those businesses and out of our community, right? So, I mean, if we are creating a mechanism to keep the interest amongst your neighbors, amongst your supporters, amongst the people in your community, we're keeping the proceeds of the financing that's spurring on economic development in the very community that it's helping to support. And so I'm not a big all boats rise person. I don't think that's an economic plan that has ever been proven true. But I do think there's a notion of that, the heart of that statement can be true if you can do it in a way that's sustainable and do it in a way that you create a win-win, and that's what we try to do at LoanWell.
Yeah, one of the things is I'm hearing what LoanWell is about, and I mean, like I said, I've read about it, and we've talked about it just briefly and everything. It seems to be that y'all are actually going back very old school, because when I think about the businesses that survived out of, like, say, the Great Depression, or even in periods of other hardship times and everything. A lot of times, or even things that I'm aware of, like the movie industry, a lot of the movies that were successful, it was exactly what you're talking about. It's people that went to their friends and neighbors. I believe Spike did that in one of his early movies. I'm pretty sure that Robert Townsend did that in one of his early movies and everything. So it seems to me that a lot of what you're talking about is stuff that folks would be doing on a regular basis and things of that nature. So am I correct in thinking that a lot of this, even though it's a new business in what you're doing, but a lot of the philosophy is very old school? I mean, we can even go into, not to get too philosophical, but we can even go into the Bible. A lot of the businesses within the Bible, and yes, there are businesses in the Bible, are also a lot of this kind of like family helping each other kind of businesses.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I mean, we like to say, we're just trying to put a new, more efficient process on something that's existed for a very long time. It goes back to your early credit unions, right? It goes back to this notion of savings associations and SUSU and lending circles. If you can create a mechanism that people can trust, then we can facilitate more and more of this type of lending in a way that's sustainable. That's the key difference. A lot of times with friends and family or supporters or whatever it might be, because those agreements, are typically informal, they're just not as sustainable and trustworthy as something that's more of a legal arrangement between a financial institution. And so if we can create the mechanism to create trust, and that's really our big building block at LoanWell, is we exchange trust between people. If we can create that, then I think we can have success in just about any community.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with you on that. Dean, I believe I heard the doorbell again, so I know we've got at least one or two more guests on. Don't go anywhere, though, because I want people to know, Benard, how they can reach out to you. And, of course, we still got to find out what your distant relationship is to James Worthy. But don't run away. Don't run away yet.
All right.
And we're also going to find out who else is on the line. So did I correctly hear a doorbell, Dean?
You heard the doorbell twice. We have Miss Serena Wiley and Mr. Joe Hall standing by, waiting to get into the show.
All
right, so we'll get Ms. Wiley in 1 second.
Are you enjoying the smoothest conversation in podcasting? Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. Hi, this is DJ Smooth Jazz, syndicated radio host and co-owner of Portfolio Group, LLC, your smooth jazz lifestyle and entertainment group with offices in Durham, North Carolina. Portfolio Group, LLC specializes in promoting the lifestyle of smooth jazz listeners with the promotion of smooth jazz events and the distribution of African-American-owned wines. For more information, portfoliogroupllc.com, or you can swing by my secondary site, djsmoothjazz.com. Now back to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark.
And we are back. Miss Wiley, you are now on the line. Welcome to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark.
Thanks so much.
One of the things, how are you doing, Serena? I'm glad that you were able to call. One of the things that I can tell you about Serena is that Serena is also, one of the things about Durham, North Carolina, is we have a great cultural community as well. And a lot of times those cultural people also have to be business people, because they, whether it's teaching, whether it's getting their own gigs, whether it's whatever, they also have to be business folks as well. So Serena is one of our very talented musicians here in the area, and that's where I first met her at, was when she was playing, I believe the first time I met her, you were at North Carolina Central University, but you've then since gone on to performing with a variety of people, including Al Strong and a number of others, and you are also an educator. So that's kind of your background, Serena, but how did you get involved in jazz music, and do you also think of, when you're out there, do you have to sometimes deal with the business aspect of being a performer? Because we were talking to Benard earlier about LoanWell, which is a business opportunity to find financing opportunities that he has created, not just for college kids that are, or college folks, I shouldn't say kids, but college folks that are under debt. And I'm sure that with your various degrees, you might be under some debt as well. I just said I've graduated almost 84, and we're almost at 2020. So that was a number of years back. And I'm still in debt, so I know all about that debt thing. So